read that word for word, Justin?
It's pretty much the same thing that I read every year in my business
Big hole over there,
training,
that's
so.
big enough for you.
I was gonna see how much of this I was exposed to last night at bar meeting.
None. Not good.
Oh, yeah.
Evening.
Guys, there's 2 seats right here, if you're not afraid of us. Could we all rise, pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Tom?
Here.
Eileen? Here. April?
Here.
Max?
Here.
Sherry is absent. Justin?
Here.
And Tony?
Here.
It's time for a public comment. Would anybody like to speak?
I would.
Michael Carlin, member of the Greenup Ambulance Service. I just want to say, I watched the video, I wasn't here for the last meeting. I had a prior engagement, so. But on the discussion part of the 20-year, 25-year, whatever the long-term contract, I don't feel that you're tying the hands of future boards.
It was Max that said that, so. yeah,
Okay.
we talked to him.
I feel like you're more ensuring that we continue to have a fire department and ambulance service right here in the town, right in the middle of town. If any time have you guys ever felt like you got your hands tied from the 20-year contract that we currently have with the fire district? I mean, I don't believe so. If anything, if you don't go with a long-term contract, there's always that possibility of creating an issue where you have to negotiate another contract, and if the negotiations don't go well, then you could be putting the services out looking for somewhere else to go. And I don't believe anybody wants to do that. Other than terminating the ambulance service, Justin, you were talking about other possibilities besides the fire district.
The ones that the ambulance committee had brought up several times in the meetings over the last year and a half, yeah.
But I mean, is there anything that's gonna be, other than terminating the service completely, is there anything that's gonna be more financially available for you guys than going with the fire district? I mean, because we've looked into outside services and you're looking $500,000 or better a year.
Depending upon who participates in paying for it, the portion for the Greenup citizens, you know, we don't know what the exact dollar is gonna be, because they never got us any quotes on that whenever they said that it should be looked at, so. But, you know, if you've got 7 or 8 districts that are paying into the pot instead of one, it could be less.
So you're speaking like the special service area.
Yeah, that's what the.
That works
ambulance
so
service-
well for Toledo Ambulance Service.
Well, that was over a 3-district area, so, you know, and they covered an area that didn't have enough runs to support a service, whereas if you had a service between the two and had all of the areas paying in, that would look a little bit different. Also, there would be a different group of folks that were decision-making there, so that could have something to do with the results as well, so.
What do you refer to as a number of runs?
So, Yeah, the ambulance service
Who-
in
If I
Toledo,
pay for, if you come get me, I pay for it, right?
right, but an ambulance service needs X number of runs a year to be viable, to get enough profit to pay for the overhead. So by spreading it out over a larger area, you can overcome some of that overhead issue by having a larger base to draw from.
And then the last thing, running, you guys helping us run this ambulance service benefits the city, the village, more than it does the fire district. We're not trying to profit off of this. We're just trying to come up with a solution that continues to keep the ambulance service in-house, run by the people that's put their heart and soul into it for years. And the only benefit we really gain out of that would be if we have a fire call, we've got an ambulance right there with us that could take care of us. And the village stands to gain by maybe being able to bring other industries to town, because you know industry's not gonna wanna come to town if you don't have an ambulance service here, or a police department, or a fire department. And, you know, with everything that we've got, Evapco, the nursing home, Loves, the interstate, I think, honestly, this would be the best option, is you guys assisting us in making this go.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, we'll move on. Randy, you got a proposal?
All right, I think everybody's got a copy of the proposal that's on the board. We met last Wednesday night, so it's dated 12/21. We looked over all of your concerns, what you presented back to us. And basically, we went back to our original term sheet, because it was drawn up by our attorney originally. So that gave us a good basis point, and then we decided what are we gonna add, what are we gonna remove from that, or what would we change? And we came up with the sheet that you have in front of you. If you've read through it, you're probably disappointed in it, because we didn't take many of your suggestions. I'm gonna try to go through bullet by bullet as to what we discussed and why we came to the conclusion that we did. On the first bullet, and I did change this term sheet, instead of just having bullets, I put numbers on it, so we'd be all in the same paragraph. The fire board added a statement indicating the village would not be required to pick up the ambulance service in the event of the fire district ceases to support the ambulance service. That was something that you guys requested. Having added that, I will say this, it's of little value to either party, adding that into that term sheet. Nothing in the agreement would require you to pick it up if we fail, but if the state would happen to pass another law in the future that says the village is required to supply EMS services, this agreement would do nothing to protect you from that. So the fire district can't do anything to guarantee that you won't ever be in the ambulance service again. But if you wanna put that in there, we can put it in there. But in my mind, it has no contractual liability at all. There's nothing. I mean, you can't come back to us and say, well, you have to run it because you signed this, because I don't think it holds us to anything either, so. Questions on that? Concerns? Okay. Bullets 2 and 3, we made no changes, that we all agreed upon on those 2 bullets. Bullet 4, the fire board added a clause that the village will catalog and value all added items being transferred to the fire district. That was something that you requested. We didn't particularly feel a need to do that. If you guys want to do it, we will allow that to happen, I guess, if that's something that's important to you. The fire board did not include a clause about any future sale of EMS equipment and proceeds being used for EMS purposes. That was something that you requested. Our thoughts were, we don't know and cannot predict what the future holds for the EMS in Illinois. And we prefer not to have our hands tied by an agreement with the village that prevents us from utilizing our funds in the most effective way needed to support the ambulance service. So we don't feel that clause needs to be in there, that if we sell one of the pieces of equipment that you're providing to us, that we have to put it right back into the same kind of equipment. It may be, we get a mandate, we need a different kind of equipment. It may be we're short on funds to pay salaries, and so we have to sell some of the equipment to keep us afloat for a while. You know, but that's just, from our perspective, if we're gonna be running the business, we can't see having any kind of a clause included in there that ties our hands on being able to manage the EMS and the way it needs to be run. So,
I say on number 4 there, that as far as, doing an inventory of all items in ambulance bay, I would say any item valued over $1,000, cause there's so many, you can start right today, and not get done in a month of all the little things back there that, I say items over, excess over $1,000.
Right, really,
As a
without
replacement cost.
without the second part, that part doesn't matter anyways. I mean, if you can do anything you want with that equipment, then there's no point in the inventory items. I mean, that was kind of.
I guess I'll go back to the comments Michael made when he started, is that, you know, we're not in this to make money, we're in it to try to keep an ambulance service going. That's why we're here offering to try to take this over. And, you know, we don't, you've trusted the fire department, you've had an agreement with them for many years now. You know, working back here, and I don't think there's ever been a real problem with it. So I guess I'm asking you to trust us a little bit. You know, we're in this for the right reasons. We're not here to steal money or anything else. We just wanna try to keep the ambulance service going so that our firemen have the protections that they need, so.
Now, the two were very hand in hand here the last couple of days. I mean, we've had calls, we're just taking both of those to complete the mission, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
We've had some little things going on here lately, this last couple of days, so I mean, the ambulance is extremely valuable to the fire department, you know, I mean, and vice versa. I mean, because today the fire department is running EMS goals.
Yeah. Any other comments about bullet 4? Okay. Bullet 5, the fire board updated this term to be a 20-year agreement. We had it as a 25. You had asked for a 10-year with a review for 5-year renewals. Again, when we talked about it, you'd asked me, well, what was the original agreement with the fire department? I didn't know, because I wasn't part of that. That original agreement was 20 years, as I understand it's supposed to be expire in 2028. And so we thought 20 years was good for the fire department. We've had a great relationship. Let's set this one for 20 years. But part of this bullet is also saying we'll have the use of the facilities as we see fit. And you didn't really address that in your bullet points, but we're asking, would you give us a 20-year lease, and that will take the place of the current lease you have with the fire department, because we're asking for the entire space back there. So that's what we're asking for, is give us a 20-year commitment that you want to see the ambulance and the fire service to continue on as it is. The one thing we did add to it is that we put in there, instead of a 6-month notice on changing the lease or kicking us out or whatever, we put it in there that either side could terminate that lease with a 2-year written notice. And we landed on 2 years because that's how long we think it takes to build another building in order to move into. So if we decide that, you know, hey, this is going great, but we need more space, and we're gonna go buy a new building, we'll give you 2 years notice, so you can start looking on, you know, how could you rent the space out for something else that the village can use. And if you guys come up with some need to change the agreement, you can give us 2 years written notice that we need to get out and find us another place. So, that's all I had on bullet 5. Comments, questions? Bullet 6, we'd all agreed to, no changes there. bullet 7, this was kind of a sticking point when we talked last time. We went back to, we really think we need the $150,000 a year from the village in order to make this work. And if we don't have it, we don't really feel comfortable going forward. So we put it back to the $150,000 is what we're asking for as an annual payment. And we did put a couple of qualifiers in there that it will be an annual payment that coincides with the start of our fiscal year, which is December 1st every year. So, but we also still want to have a COLA clause in there based on the consumer price index, so that if it goes up or if it goes down, we all get a fair shake on how much we're getting to run the service. The fire board does not agree to any future predetermined limits that the village requested. You were asking that, if we had so much money in the bank, you would drop yours to half that, or maybe that amount would disappear. And the reality is, we're just very uneasy about what we're getting into. We're just not sure. We don't have any experience with it. So we're asking for that $150,000 commitment, plus a COLA increase or decrease as it may be every year. And we think that's what we would have to live with it. Now, like I told you before, as long as I'm associated with it anyway, I don't know how long that'll be, but as long as I'm associated with it, if it turns out we can make this thing work and we don't need the village money, I'll be the first to come back and ask to amend that and take that payment out of there. If we don't need the money and we can make this thing work, I don't see a need, because I'm kind of like Tony. I do feel like I'm kind of double dipping the people that live in the village. We're increasing the tax in the area, plus we're asking you guys to help us out. But to get this started, we're just uneasy. We're not sure what we're getting into and how well we can make this work. When you guys had in there that you wanted to put stopping points in there, I'm going to ask you a question on the inverse side of that. Would you agree to a clause in there that states the village will pay annual debt the fire district experiences trying to run the EMS if it doesn't work out?
But you've already got clauses to protect yourself from that in there, because you can stop it at any time. So you've already got that clause in there.
And you can stop it at any time. I mean, that I want you to think about what you're asking us to do. You're asking us to make a commitment to something that we don't know the answer to.
And that's the same thing you're asking us to do.
Yeah.
Works both ways.
All right, bullet 8.
If I could
Okay.
comment on number 7 there.
Sure.
With that $150,000 annually for the village, with the potential that Toledo doesn't start back up again.
It has nothing to do with us.
What I'm saying though is eventually, if they don't start up again, someone's gonna be providing service to one side of that, and somebody's gonna be providing service to the other side of that. In the event that something like that happens, and there's a potential for the county to start kicking in some of this tax money they're collecting that they're not paying out, because they're not paying out to a service right now. If they were to say, I think the rough number they collected is 89,000 a year, is that right, Dylan?
56.
Huh?
We got 56.
No, what's the county collect?
56.
That's the
County
county
collects
said.
$56,000.
That's what we got this year, yeah.
Okay, but that's what the ambulance service got, or what the county collected?
That's what the Hamlet, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was told 89,000, but,
that was with the proposed increase.
okay. If they were to decide to, let's rough it off 56,000, that's 28,000 in half. If they kicked in 28,000 a year, so that we would provide service over that way, so potential to drop that 150 from here
Nope.
by that much.
Nope.
No?
Because if we're gonna cover that extra area, all of these plans that we drew up were to hire 2 full-time paramedics, 2 full-time EMTs, and fill in with volunteers. And if we're gonna have to cover that additional area, I need another paramedic and another EMT. And that's that's over $100,000 a year right there. If that's what we're gonna do. And that's why I said last time, let's not confuse the issue with Toledo with what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make sure Greenup has a continuing ambulance service. The problems over at Toledo, somebody will have to address in the future. I mean, we're gonna cover it right now, just like we've been covering it, but at some point, you gotta have enough money to run that work. So I don't see that money, if we do that, we're diving into a whole nother game where it's gonna cost us to cover that much extra territory. And possibly another building, someplace over closer so you can have timely responses, those kind of things. So I don't see that as having any bearing on my discussion with the village agreement.
Yeah, we take, well, we're virtually taking on foot right now, cause today we had 2 calls over this morning. And while we was running 2 calls over there, we had 2 calls here. And we had to call Casey this morning to help us, twice.
Yeah.
At the same time.
What's their response time?
20 minutes.
It seemed like eternity while we were sitting on the scene today.
I was gonna say, I think it was at least 20
From-
minutes. if
Yeah,
not
it
more.
just seemed like a
Time of
eternity.
page till they get to their bay, till they get in their rig, till they get here, you're looking at 20 minutes or better.
And we initially called Jasper County, and they was already tied up. Matter of fact, their rig went flying by our scene
How many,
while we was waiting on
how many
Cleveland.
units do
Or
they have,
waiting on-
Casey?
3.
And
But
they were-
they only staff 2, and sometimes only staff 1, just depends.
and
Right now, they're doing pretty good because they've got some newbies that really wanted the hours, so they've got,
But they're physically capable to cover us, help out.
they've turned us down multiple times, and we've actually covered them multiple times.
They can't guarantee that 100%.
Yeah, this morning, while we was on scene, I had a call from them. They just want to know how long we was gonna be out, cause they was gonna try to staff a 3rd ambulance. Cause they, you know, we're all hopping, and they've got issues on the east side of their county too,
Let's face it, if you have a medical emergency, 20 minutes is a long time.
that's eternity.
We've been there, haven't we? Lifetime.
And they're looking to possibly take on Marshall, and if they do that, that's gonna cut their resources even more, because they're gonna be, and Jason's already told me that his territory comes first. So, he's concerned.
Jason, would you like to respond on that?
I did not hear exactly what all he said.
I was told that.
I couldn't hear.
I was telling him, when you and I talked before.
Yeah,
and you
my
said
tax
that-
base has to come first.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
today I was able to staff a 3rd rig out of Casey, so I let a 2nd rig leave. And I have to, you know, just like you guys, if you guys are tax base, you have to take care of your own first.
You betcha.
So, then today when that 2nd one come out, I was like, get on the phone, find somebody to cover Medic 5 with me, and I got it covered. So, it's just one of those situations. I'm in a bad situation because with your guys' trouble, I also have the same trouble with the full-time service on the other side of my county. I ran 155 calls this year in the Marshall area. 32, I think it was, over here so far this year. So, you know, I'm getting pulled both directions. And there's been times that, I've told this to Michael, I've had 2 trucks to cover more or less since you guys didn't have a truck, from Montrose to the county line, or state line. That's a 60-some mile freaking path. County line to county line, that's almost 1,200 square miles. And you guys wonder why I'm losing hair.
We've covered 21 calls in your county so far this year.
In my county or in
In-
62420,
In your county,
in our county.
KZ, and then 2 to Martinsville, but most of them's been in KZ.
I will ask this question, how many has it been since we changed our pay rates? 3 months ago.
1. And that's where the difference come in. You're able to cover it.
You're paying more,
I'm paying more,
Way
any
more.
second out calls,
Way more.
my board deemed it as overtime. So a second out call now, we'll pay a basic $90 run a call as a second out call because they're not on the clock. So that's why I asked, how much since my board changed from what you guys are doing to what we're doing now? One. So that speaks plethoras within itself.
Okay, thank you. Randy, you want to proceed?
Any other questions, comments on number 7? Okay. Number 8, the fire board reverted back to our original term of having the village, board transition the current EMS ambulance funds the fire district at the point in time the fire district takes over the EMS service. We're asking for a minimum of $400,000, and we're doing that because when we looked at your books earlier, when we were making this plan, that's about how much you had in there. So, we didn't know how else to ask for it. Having some experience in business and not a lot in the public sector, I know budgets get shuffled, things get paid out of budget items. What I'm asking is that whatever the ambulance is earning, we'd like to have that. And I didn't know how to ask for it other than to put a $400,000 price tag on it. So you guys were saying, well, you know, we might have some expenses. Well, that's fine. But if you're buying a squad car or a new service truck or something like that for the village out of that fund before we get it.
We actually just explicitly listed expenses for the ambulance service. We didn't allow for use of for anything else in our term.
Okay, so that's what we're asking for. If the ambulance service is, you know, got some money in it, and if it's more than 400,000, that'd be great too. You know, we think that'd give us the operating capital we need to be able to run this. We just don't want it to disappear between now and when we get the referendum passed.
So if an ambulance would go down and we'd have to buy a new one, that's 200,000 right there.
Right.
So you're expecting 400,000 on top of a new ambulance.
As I understand it, your ambulances are fairly new.
Well, they are, but look what happened to Toledo. I mean, there's accidents
I
can
think we had one
happen.
that had diesel put in a gas engine or something not too long ago.
And our newest ambulance has been in 2 wrecks.
Not
So-
the newest one, because it got completely replaced.
Okay.
And I might be wrong, Randy, but is this for us to take it over right now without our tax money that you're saying, or?
That's it, that's if the referendum passes, and then they would hand us the money at the point that the referendum passes, and we take over the ambulance service immediately with whatever funds are in the EMS fund.
So we're using that money to keep us going
Using
until
that money
we
to
get our
keep us going.
tax.
So,
That's,
yeah.
and that's not really a sticking point. I think what Eileen is alluding to is if an ambulance goes down, if we blow a motor, you're talking $60,000.
Yeah.
That's gotta come out of that fund,
Right.
pay that.
Right.
So let's say we've got 400,000 today.
Yeah.
A week from now, we blow an engine, spend $60,000, now it's got 340,000 left.
Yeah.
That's what there would be to transfer, that's all that's in that fund, that's all there is.
Yeah.
So,
They're saying we would have to come up with a difference.
yeah, you're saying we're gonna have to come up with a difference no matter what, but we're not gonna spend money out of that fund to buy something else. So, yeah, we're gonna make sure that as much is there as possible, but if there's expenses that have to come out, that's the same with if I was gonna buy a hardware store. And in the process of, before we got the deal signed for the hardware store, they had to have a new furnace. If I was assuming all their assets and their funding, well, they had to spend more money for that new furnace, and then they expect me to pay for it. That's gonna be kind of a tough thing, so maybe look at that, because the money's only gonna go for ambulance equipment.
Okay,
The worst case
Yes.
scenario would be something happened to an ambulance. That's gonna be the most expensive thing that would happen.
has there been anything paid out of the ambulance fund other than ambulance expenses?
No.
Not as long as Kay and I have been here, there's not, no,
Okay,
in the last 11 years.
so I
I've
think
been
that's
that way.
where you're gonna have to trust us, that we're not gonna get into this 400,000 except for paying for something that the ambulance needs, to keep it viable until we turn it over to you.
And that's what I'd like to have. I'd like to have us all trusting each other, so.
But trust is also earned, it's not just freely given.
Right.
So, you know, if we can eliminate that part of not less than, that all the monies are, I mean, they're tracked anyway.
Yeah.
And whatever's there is gonna go over as agreed to anyway. That, you know, I mean, if we have one of the striker cot systems go down.
Got warranty for that.
Right. Okay, so we're good there.
Good deal.
But
We do have an expense out there, I mean, it's still pending, but we do have a possible big expense out there.
Yes.
With unemployment, and if that falls through and they tell us that we have to pay that, then we don't know where we are with IMRF.
Yeah.
And IMRF may go back and they're gonna make us pay everything that we owed plus interest. And we have no clue what that's going to, because we're talking about 2 Village of Greenup employees on that we're gonna have to pay back, and then probably put other people on that.
And that's a big if.
Yeah.
It
So-
is, and we haven't heard from them, and
Right.
they said it could
And
be
you're
months.
saying that will
before
come out of the
we-
ambulance fund?
And right now, there's
They have to.
489,000
They have
in
to.
there. As of
Because it was
today.
for ambulance personnel.
So then basically, we would just wait and take it over when we get our tax money.
But I mean, even if it, never mind, forget it. I was just trying to think of something, just forget it, I'll think of it later.
Go ahead, Randy.
I'm thinking about how I wanna respond to this, so. You know, I think you guys you're making me more uneasy, really, I mean, because you've got all these things that might come out of this between now and April, you know? And so,
actually, it's the state that's making it all uneasy,
Yeah.
because you can't fight them. There's no way. It can happen to anybody.
Well. What's the most that could be?
We don't have any idea.
We
We have no idea on the IMRF or unemployment.
we don't know how many years IMRF may make us go back and put, you know, let's say Patty and Steve on there and go back to when they first started. We could be paying for them clear back into those times.
And that doesn't make the ambulance invulnerable either, it can still go down too.
Yes. And, you know, and IMRF doesn't do anything without putting interest on anything either.
so, do you think you'll have those answers before the end of April?
I don't know, we're waiting right
It's
now
the
for
state.
Illinois Department of Unemployment Security, and we've been waiting to hear from them since September.
They're in no hurry, and that's why we have lawyers.
Yeah,
The village has got good lawyers out of Chicago.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. We will fight it.
yeah,
That's in my opinion.
yeah. So, I'm sitting here thinking, what happens if we get the referendum passed and you kick the money to us and then you give a big notice from the state that now you have to go back and pay that IMRF and whatever else that they deem you need to pay. Does it come out of the ambulance fund after you give it to us?
I mean,
It'd be kind of hard for us to do that.
Yeah.
it would be hard for us to take it away
So
from
we're
you
gonna
after
have
we've
to
given
take
it
it
to you.
from some other funds now.
So, yeah, we'd be taking it from other funds. Which would be our utility funds.
Correct.
What a tangled web.
Yes.
It is.
All right, bullets 9, 10, and 11, there were no changes. I think we're all in agreement to those. And then you'd asked for some reporting, which we talked about the last time, and I said we, you know, being a public entity, we have to provide an annual report, that we'd be happy to give that to you at the end
But
of
really,
each
that was
fiscal
tied
year.
to the other, that was tied to the other clauses that you didn't keep anyway, so that's not really relevant. So,
So basically, what we've come up with is, we think this is what we need to take over the ambulance service and be successful. I'm not sure if we're ever gonna reach full agreement on that 150,000 and the 400,000, and, but we need some guarantees we've got something to work with.
Well, the 400,000 side of it, if you guys took the service over tonight, 400,000 plus would be yours. And if the state comes back after us on the other one, we just have to figure out where it's gonna come from. So,
But that makes the 150, which was already more than what we bring in, and the funds available to pay for it, by about 50 grand a year. That makes that all the more important, because there's also that added liability that's hanging out there from the state. So, it makes sustainability for our end pretty tough.
I have full confidence in the fire department to make this work.
Well, one thing for sure, we keep doing what we're doing, our service is gonna go down.
Exactly.
There's no question, because our volunteers, we've had nights where we're trying all night long, and the same people have to do the real job. You know, and it's pulling a toll on people that they can't keep it up, and we're not gonna have a service at all. And then where we're gonna be? I mean,
You had suggested a third party back in July.
well, I was also told I was not authorized to contact anybody else, so I haven't.
Who told you that?
And I heard that from several people, I won't mention their names, but. I mean,
All
but
I'm saying-
that's the most expensive route we could go, is a third party. 'Cause-
I've got many issues with going to the party. I mean,
Yeah, I don't wanna do it, but,
too many, variables for that.
Let's talk about what we got here.
yeah,
I have full confidence in the fire department to make this work. And I think they'll be fair. If something comes up, I think we can talk to them. I'd like for somebody to entertain a motion that we accept this tonight.
Bill, what was that quote you guys had, like 11,000 a week at one time from someone, wasn't it?
From Effingham, cause that was a 56, it would've been gone in 5 weeks. 56,000 would've been gone in 5 weeks.
11,000 a week, what they asked. And
And when we told him how much taxes we got, he said, never mind, and he left.
I mean, I was the first one to say this early on, I didn't want it in the fire station. But after seeing, what's transpired with special service area services, this is the best option we got.
Would you like to entertain a motion, Tony? Let's see what happens here.
I would make the motion to enter into agreement with the Greenup Fire Protection District on them taking over the service with the condition both sides, negotiate pending the outcome of the IMRF and the on-pump security, that both would have to agree in good faith to work that out. I mean, I don't know what the number's gonna be, but if it comes up, that's something we're gonna come back here and talk about. Who knows what kind of money.
I don't think we can do that.
That's not in your motion, Randy.
It's not in there.
So, Tony, I don't
And
think.
I don't think we can do that, Tony, because if I don't have the money to hire people, it's a people problem. is what you
Exactly.
got.
Exactly.
It's a people problem. If I don't have the money to hire people to run this, then we can't run it.
So would you like to change your motion, Tony? Because we can accept that motion.
Yeah, I'll change it to, we're entering into agreement with the Greenup Fire Protection District for assumption of ambulance service upon passage of the, referendum on the ballot.
Somebody want to entertain a second?
I'll second it.
If we don't do it, we're not gonna.
We don't have an ambulance, so.
I mean, if you have to question money, that's a lot of money.
And then we have the problem, are we gonna lose businesses? Are we gonna bring any more businesses
Well,
in town? Are
yes.
people gonna leave town?
I'm just saying is, what's a life worth?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, people, we need an ambulance service.
But there are other options too.
Well, let's see how this goes.
That's circumstantial,
Yeah,
or they're not.
So is this.
Well,
Please vote no, Justin. I mean, that's your option.
can't talk like that.
Sorry.
Okay, Jill, you're on.
Okay, so there's a motion to enter an agreement with the Greenup Fire Protection District for assumption of the ambulance service for the village of Greenup upon passage of referendum. Eileen,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Max,
Yes.
Sherry's absent. Justin?
No.
Tony?
Yes.
Randy, looks like we have an agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank the fire department. Thanks
I'd like-
everybody for coming.
I will
Yeah.
take this proposal, send it back to our attorney, have him send it to yours, we'll get it
Okay.
all signed off, and we'll get the referendum paperwork started.
And we'll get a hold of our attorney tomorrow.
Justin? Jason McMiller.
Jason?
Jason, yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for blowing my phone up, but, no, I really appreciate the assistance you gave us over the last couple of days. I know there was a
I'm
time
just
years
trying to,
ago.
I'm just trying to make plans for my own, so.
Well, there was times years ago where we had, the shoe was on the other foot, you know, we had to help you guys out, and I appreciate everything you've done, Jason, I mean.
It's okay, that's what we're here for, that's what mutual aids are for, it's just one of those things, you're trying to plan, because we've been extremely busy ourselves lately, and trying to keep trucks going.
I know you have.
from time to time.
I listen, I really on 24/7, you know, I
Yep.
mean.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I plan to get as many firemen as I can and ambulance people as I can together to go out and push this referendum, to let the public know exactly why we're doing it
Yes.
and what it's about, to hopefully help it pass. I would just ask that any of you guys that run into people on the streets would be more willing to talk to them and explain it to them as well, to let them know that, you know, we're trying to keep an ambulance service alive, and that's why we're trying to pass a referendum.
I would encourage you to talk to Todd Butler, because he did an excellent job of contacting people and to push for the 1% referendum.
Explained it very well.
You know, that's another, you know, we got our school out there with we got excellent facilities at the school. And how would you like to have all that out there and not be able to host any home events, because there's not an ambulance service available? I mean, that's, the problems not having a service creates is just far, far reaching, you know? I mean, it's just, it scares the hell out of me. But we gotta have it.
You don't wanna need an ambulance, but when you do, I've had to, 2 or 3 times.
Okay, Michael, Bonnie would like to say something real quick to you.
I want to thank the fire department. Right before Christmas, you saved my house. Fire was in the wall, and we put all new wiring, new light switch from Menards, and the light switch went bad and burnt it up through the walls. You saved my house, and you saved my life. And the reason I mean by that is because I kept trying to go and help. And Michael kept reminding me, let them do their job. I was even trying to climb, they busted out the window when I'm trying to climb it, and it's right behind me. Thank you very much. And if I look dirty, we're working on the soot and everything, and moving on the house. Thank you, gentlemen, thank you, ladies.
Okay, did the attorney have anything you want to say? Village clerk?
I do have a couple things, it's just real quick, like I just wanted the village board to know that on the January 9th board meeting, we will be having 2 public hearings. The first one will start at 5:30, that's regarding the credit card payment ordinance that we are needing to pass. And then the second public hearing is for regard to the Illinois Department of Commerce Economic Development Opportunity Grant. And it's for the state CDBG program for housing rehabilitation.
And that will be after the 5:30 window.
Right, it'd be 5:30 and at 5:45. And the only one who really needs to be here for that is Tom, but it
Okay.
always looks nice if anybody else could be here.
Okay.
Don't leave me hanging, people.
Yes, sir.
Is that all you got?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
No,
Think about
we're
it.
another time.
superintendent's not here, chief of police, ambulance coordinator. I just wanna thank everybody for showing up. Need a motion to adjourn.
Well, thanks for looking out for us.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Ally?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
Max?
Yes.
Sherry is absent. Justin?
Yes.
And Tony?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.